What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So there's another game showing up on the Switch that's going to give Ark a bit of a run for its money, although I think this one's going to be a lot better anyway because we've already played the game before on the Nintendo 64, and I actually got it on the Xbox last year, and now it's coming to the Switch. We're going to talk a bit about that today. We're also going to go over the UK sales charts. A bit of an issue with Dead or Alive 6. Didn't place well. We also found out NES Games, and one that's in Japan that was announced for March that I think should have also come over to the US. We're going to talk about all of that today, guys. As always, if you enjoy these videos, hit the like button, really helps out. We're going to start today with EA. And we're going to start today with Anthem, because they did at least put out a statement about the crashing issues that are taking place. Now, very quickly, if you're unaware, on the PlayStation 4, people have been reporting that Anthem is just pretty much shutting down the PS4 like the hard shutdown, to the point where it restarts, then it goes to where it's rebuilding database and everything, and people have run into issues where it wouldn't start up. There's a whole thing over that, but as you're seeing very quickly here on Twitter, EA actually released a statement saying, "We're aware of a crashing issue some of you have been reporting for Anthem. We're investigating and ask that you share your crash data reports when prompted. If you have, we'll be reaching out to gather info." So it does look like, yes, they are aware. They're trying to work through it, I guess, and it's been a bit. I think they said they had been aware of it for like 18 or 19 hours since it had blown up online, and hopefully they get it figured out and fixed, because a lot of people are running into it. Now, I'll say I also ran into it on the Xbox, so I don't think it's just the PlayStation. That's just where it's kind of been blowing up a bit. So it seems like it's at least the Xbox and the PlayStation. I don't know as much about PC. I haven't played it on the PC at all, but I can tell you definitely on the Xbox it was crashing for me a lot the other day. So hopefully they get this all worked out and we can actually have Anthem work, I guess. I mean, the game itself still needs a lot of work, but at least then you don't have to worry about it possibly damaging your system. We also got a release date for Sword Art Online Hollow Realization in North America. It's coming May 24th. Now, I didn't really ever get into the Sword Art Online games. I remember back when it was out, when it came out on the Vita, I said I was going to get it, and I didn't, and I should now, because of course the Vita is getting harder and harder to find. So the collector's items that's kind of what it's becoming now. It's kind of hard to get. And that's probably one that I should pick up on the Vita as a physical copy, but it is coming out on the Switch, and I might check it out. Again, at the end of May. May is actually getting kind of packed along with April now, and then we're going to the summertime when a ton of games are dropping, so it seems like a lot of games are just showing up over the next couple months, which is good, and it's good to have, obviously, stuff to play. But yeah, Sword Art Online coming at the end of May from Bandai Namco, and I haven't tried it, but maybe you can let me know down in the comments if it's something worth getting into. The reviews have been in the middle for that game. I've seen them, some people really enjoy it, and other people say it's just an okay RPG, but it seems to have online multiplayer for certain things and everything, so we'll probably check it out and see how it all works on the Switch anyway. Also, check this out. Tetris 99 has been super popular. People are having a great time with it. It's a really cool spin on a game that we've been playing for decades now. Well, there's actually going to be a tournament for it. Yeah, it's Tetris 99 Maximus Cup, and this is a very interesting idea, and I like to see them continue to build on Tetris 99, as it is a game you could pretty much download free if you already have the online service, I guess. So it's kind of free, kind of not. But anyway, if you have the online service, you've probably already downloaded Tetris 99. And now there's going to be a tournament where you can actually compete to win like gold points or the coins that Nintendo has for like the little currency. You're actually competing then. And the way this is all going to work is they're going to have like a time. So 5 a.m. Pacific, March 8th to 11:59 p.m. Pacific, March 10th is going to be the time where you can compete. And the people with the most first place finishes will end up winning. So there's going to be a top 999 players with the most finishes at first will be notified and will each receive 999 My Nintendo gold points. And that is a really, really cool thing. They're also going to have a way you can see results screen and everything to see kind of where you place. You'll basically just have to play a lot of Tetris 99 in like that time zone, a time frame they have set up. Really, really cool idea. I like seeing Tetris 99 constantly getting updates and little things like this. Events are great, right? It's Tetris, but it's like Tetris in like a whole new light. It's really cool, and I like this. We'll see if they continue to do more stuff. As remember, we saw the data mine. It talked about all kinds of stuff, whether you're playing against bots or they have like this team-based multiplayer and everything. So I think Tetris 99 is going to be around for a while, and I think we're going to hear about updates and even little tournaments like this for a long time. And guys, some of the quick news out of the way. Let's get into the bigger stuff. We're going to start with the UK sales charts right away. And we're actually just going to jump right into the top 10 because I do also want to point out, we've talked about Anthem a lot of having a hard time, sales and obviously reviews and everything. But it's actually done okay in the UK sales charts, technically, in comparison to things around it. As seeing the top 10 here, Anthem actually held the top spot from the week, its debut week to here. So its first 2 weeks, it has held the top spot, but it did also drop 71%, still maintaining that top spot though. So I think just in general, sales have been kind of low in the UK this week. But Anthem number 1, FIFA 19 at 2, Far Cry at 3. Then you have Lego Movie 2, which debuted here at 4. Red Dead Redemption 2 at 5, Dirt 2.0 at 6, which is actually a new entry. It's cool to see Dirt up there. Metro Exodus at 7, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at 8, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate at 9, and then we had Trials Rising Gold Edition at number 10. Pretty interesting to see that, as it was a closer split than you might think between the platforms there, where it was 39% on the PS4, 33% on the Xbox One, and 28% on the Switch. So it seems like the Switch is gaining some ground in some of these different multi-platform releases. You might realize that Dead or Alive 6 is not in that top 10 despite releasing that week, and that's because it sold less than half the number of units of Dead or Alive 5 that released back in 2012. This Dead or Alive 6 actually came in at number 21. Now keep in mind, of course, physical sales versus digital sales, it definitely leans much, much further to digital sales than it used to, especially at a time, 7 years ago, well, 6.5 years ago, I guess, but still, it's much more favorable for digital sales now than it was back then, so I at least get why it is skewed so much, but to not even get into the top 20 on your debut week, that's tough, because that means it's probably going to fall out of the top 30 and the top 40 within like a month, so Dead or Alive 6 isn't off to a great start, at least in the UK. We'll see, of course, the MPDs and everything for it, and I guess the Media Create sales. So I guess the season pass is at least making sense. That I guess they figured they wouldn't do so well on initial sales. However, once again, I'll bring up the free-to-play option. Maybe it wouldn't have been too crazy to have this be something you release for free and then, I guess, sell extra characters and stuff like they technically already are. Maybe that would have been a better way to go and get more people playing. But Anthem is still at number 1 in the UK, and we'll see what happens going forward here with it, but at least it's staying up there. Next up, let's talk about Shakedown Hawaii. It's actually a game I've been looking forward to for what feels like forever now. But of course, it's a sequel to Retro City Rampage, or I guess just the next game in their series of kind of like the top-down, retro-style Grand Theft Auto game. But an interesting thing has now happened. It looks like that's the next Epic Games exclusive. It is Shakedown Hawaii, and it's weird to think about this because this is on all types of platforms, but on the PC, of course, it's going to go to the Epic Store. I mean, it's a good pickup for Epic to do that, but again, I know we're in this weird situation where the Epic Game Store keeps pulling games away from Steam, which for a lot of people is the preferred platform on PC to use for their digital storefronts that they buy games from. But yes, Epic has some sort of timed exclusivity. It doesn't appear like it's going to be there like indefinitely or forever, but at least for the foreseeable future, it could be a year-long, this year-long exclusivity deal. Who knows? We'll find out more as we go along. But we're also expecting this game to come out sometime this spring. And it feels like, again, we've been waiting for this for a while, but there have been some interesting things that come out. Over 200 buildings that I guess are explorable or just as part of the game. And it's also, like I said, coming to everything. They're still also going to put it on the Vita. And last I checked, they're still going to be putting it out physically on the Vita. Yeah, like seriously, it's coming to a ton of different platforms. We're talking the Switch, PlayStation 4, Vita, 3DS, PC. 3DS and Vita is enough for me to go, oh, okay, wow, it's actually quite a few things to go to. But still, Epic Game Stores, Shakedown Hawaii, I mean, it's not a game that's going to be pushing visual boundaries or anything, so I'll probably just get it on the Switch. But still, for PC owners who probably wanted to get this on Steam, that probably does hurt a bit. But it's what Epic is doing right now. They're going around and grabbing what they can and moving it to the Epic Game Store exclusively, and unless Steam wants to actually do something about it, which doesn't seem like they do, they're kind of just going to ride it out, I guess, and hope that the Epic Game Store just stops doing this, or that Epic starts to struggle with Fortnite, maybe runs out of some money or something. That's all I can assume. They're just trying to weather the storm because they're not making any moves themselves. Next up, let's talk about Turok, because it is coming to the Switch. Now, this actually came out last March, because I remember buying it on the Xbox One and playing it, and I liked it. I mean, it's Turok, but it looks better, of course, on your HD screen and everything. It works better with the Xbox controller, and now it's coming to the Switch, which is pretty cool to hear about, because Ark is terrible, and Turok was a game that I was laughingly saying, oh, would it be funny to compare this to the N64 version? Which I guess I still could do, but here it comes now to the Switch. I can literally take Ark and compare it to Turok, both on the same platform. That'd actually be pretty funny to do. But it is showing up, and it's showing up March 18th on the Switch, so it's not even that far out. It's like 2 weeks, right? Yeah, about 2 weeks. Less than that, actually, for $19.99, which is the same amount I remember buying it for on the Xbox One when it released. And we also heard in their Discord for Night Dive Studios that they kind of talked a bit about Turok 2 also coming over to the Switch at some point in time. That seemed like something they were just discussing at one point and sounded like it'd be a good idea, so maybe they are working on that. Now, I do think that Turok 1 was some kind of timed exclusive for the Xbox, as this is getting announced legitimately a year, like almost exactly a year after it came out on the Xbox. So I guess maybe Turok 2 would be up next to show up on the Switch. But what a cool thing to have here. I know there's a lot of people who probably didn't play this on Nintendo 64 because maybe you're a bit too young, for example, or you just didn't have it at the time. I mean, it didn't look great on the N64. Obviously, if you go back and play it now, it's not going to look good at all. But having it come over to the Switch, the visuals were smoothed down the Xbox. I assume it'll be the same way on the Switch. And of course, to have it to compare to Ark. So why not? $20 isn't bad for Turok. Some people might think that's a little expensive, but I got some fun out of it on the Xbox One. So if you wanted to get it back then when it showed up in the Xbox One, but there was no Switch version, or I guess even PlayStation 4 version, technically, there you go. You can pick it up on the Switch when it shows up later on this month, March 18th. And our last bit of news. Okay, check this out. So there are NES games, of course, coming this month, March, and they gave us an announcement, Nintendo did, on their Twitter account, and said, here are the 2 games that you'll be getting. It's going to be going live March 13th, which I'm sure will go live next to some sort of special edition or those SP editions that they never announce ahead of time, and they just kind of drop on there as a surprise. Generally, it's just a glorified ROM save state or ROM hack of some kind, dropping you into like the end of the game or putting you in the beginning with a bunch of cool stuff. But you're going to be getting Kid Icarus, and we're going to be getting Star Tropics. Star Tropics is cool. That's a good one to put on there because I know like 80% of people who have a Switch right now, maybe even 90%, have never even played or maybe even heard of the game. So it's cool to see that one show up. Kid Icarus probably hasn't aged super well, but still, it's another classic that a lot of people probably have not played. And you'll, of course, have the kind of the online, pass off the controller functionality and everything. So to see people now experience Star Tropics will be really neat. I'm actually pretty excited for that. But the thing about this situation is, well, we've learned that Japan gets different games, and a lot of times they get 3, whereas we all get 2 for, again, whatever reason, I don't know. But check this out. They're actually getting Fire Emblem. Yeah, the one from the Famicom, Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon, is actually, that one's going to the Switch in Japan. And I don't know why they don't have something like a Fire Emblem that they could have just translated and brought over. I know localization isn't like it's, super easy. A lot of time that's on Nintendo of America to make happen. But I think it would have been a cool thing to say, hey, this game, Fire Emblem, that's never been released in the US on, NES officially by Nintendo. I'm not talking like, fan translations or re-releases down the road or anything. I mean like the actual game that people experienced back then in like the 80s and early 90s. If they had done that, that would have been a cool, unique thing for the Nintendo Online service. Instead, they decided to just keep it all regionalized, and here you go. You guys get Star Tropics, you guys get Fire Emblem. I think Fire Emblem like that would have had a bigger impact, and I think that would have made people really take notice. Star Tropics is still cool, Kid Icarus is okay, but still, to have something like that still stuck in Japan is a shame, and I would like to see something unique. Tetris 99 was really cool, but I mean something else, something from like their past that we've never played before, like Star Fox 2, for example. That was great to put on a Super Nintendo Classic. Let's do something like that, but for the Nintendo Online service. Let's just try something. Let's get crazy so that we can see a bit more value here with this online service. I mean, the Super Nintendo games still haven't even been talked about, and believe it or not, they actually, according to some data miners, have actually disappeared now from the code in the online app that we had seen before. So who knows what's going on there, but these are just ideas, something to kind of freshen up the online service and these NES games that people seem to kind of look at and go, oh, okay, that's cool, I guess, and they kind of move on. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button, it really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about, whether it's Turok on the Switch. Are you going to be picking that one up for 20 bucks if you either missed it or you want to revisit it again? Let me know if that's something you're interested in, or maybe you're waiting for Turok 2. Who knows, we'll see about that. What about the NES games, though? Are you going to be experiencing Star Tropics for the first time? Are you going to experience it for like the 10th time? Or are you kind of annoyed that they're getting better games in Japan, like Fire Emblem, for example, than we are pretty much everywhere else? Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.